So I actually played Bozza in a game. He wouldn't remember this, but he was playing for Marconi and I was playing for Melita Eagles. And my best mate was a good soccer player. And the coach knew I played footy and said, all I need you to do is take the goalkeeper out. So they just sent it down the right edge and I just basically come in to take Bozza out.
Shirts off and people are pouring champagnes over us and people are drinking it off us.
I remember that forever because as he's doing it, I started running. I just got up out of my seat and started running. It was like the 2015 grand final.
These boys are fair dinkum enjoying themselves.
What are these animals doing?
On TV and late at night.
Fiddler! He scores!
I'm just like, I'm not a fighter.
Maybe God has come to Marathon.
Ladies and gents, whatever you're going to do it well and do it large.
Well, hello and welcome to Freddy and the Eighth for another week, proudly brought to you by Sportsbet. Gentlemen, great to see you. And before we get started, Andrew, big happy birthday for
Please
this
don't
week.
call me Andrew. There's two people call me Andrew.
Yeah.
My mum and my wife.
Happy birthday.
Yep.
How old?
51.
Whoa, yeah.
Oh, and look at these.
Oh, yeah. Geez, your head was big.
Oh, I love that photo. It's in the backyard, Cessnock.
At the night.
And I
St
think
Pat's, that's my
I've got a
junior
favourite
club.
one that's coming up. Oh no, maybe we've missed
I
it.
thought you were a Cessnock goanna.
Yeah, but that in those times, there was like 6 teams in
right.
Cessnock. Oh, my God.
Some good times there.
What about the dealer?
That escalated. So did you do anything special?
Went out for lunch with the bride and then had my favourite meal at night, corned beef and tomato sauce, just lathered in tomato sauce.
You are kidding.
Yeah. Best thing, you get a big hunk of corned beef and then there's some in the morning and you
Don't
put
you have the white sauce on it?
Nah, no.
Is corned beef like Devon?
It's like
Not really.
it's double bay Devon.
It's not really.
Oh,
That's beautiful.
Devon, don't you reckon as a kid you get the white bread, Devon, and then just tomato
Everyone lived
sauce?
on that.
And chicken loaf.
Corned beef, mashed potato, drowned in tomato sauce.
There you go, the diet of champions. All right, we have a huge show coming up for you. We're going to be talking all things Origin. Of course, we've got a very special guest as well. Mark Bosnich joins us, and we're going to be previewing plenty of games this weekend. Also, to keep sending in those emails, f8@9.com.au. And we've actually collected some of the best emails that we've received. As well, don't forget, if you send in your best photo of you watching Freddy and the Eighth, so get creative with it. You will get to win through to the lunch, the Freddy and the Eighth long lunch at the end of the year. So we'll have the winner as well. So we'll have a player from the Freddy and the Eighth votes, and then.
I mean, Stu Laundy had an accident.
I know. In
Thailand,
Vietnam.
Yeah.
He's
So
good. I texted
scan the
him, he's
QR
good.
code on your
Yeah.
screen, and you can enter now. But yeah, send through some photos. Should we
minute.
read out
I'll read
the
one.
emails? Yeah, go for it. Oh, this is going to be good.
Can someone please get grumpy old man Andrew Johns to stop whinging during the games? Every week he does nothing but whinge about players' haircuts, bunker, replays, tries. Just a whinger.
Okay. I'll up my meds. How's that? Who's it from? Or anonymous these days?
Up the top.
Batman.
Oh, yeah, Batman. He hangs out with those parties where all the keys get thrown out into a bowl.
What are those parties?
I don't know, Freddy told me that.
Get out of this.
All right, Joey,
birthday.
do you have a good
Okay,
email?
I've got the one. Hi, what are your thoughts to why there is some weird results, obviously, this year? Well, I think salary cap, it evens out the talent. I think there's more clubs coming into the competition, so there's less depth in the top 30. I think at the moment there's some clubs, there's probably around 22, 23 really NRL players ready to go. A lot of them are young guys, inexperience, and injuries. Injuries to key players.
Well, on the other side of that is the fatigue. The last couple of years there's been test matches.
Yeah.
We went through a big period without test matches. The Pacific Nations, I think clubs getting used to bringing players back, making sure they're rested enough, fit enough. So it's a real balancing act at the moment, which we'll get used to.
All right, I've got an email here from William Van Der Veen. It's a long email, so I'm just going to shorten it up a little bit. But pretty much, does the best player need to be captain in a team?
No.
What makes a really strong captain if they're not necessarily the best player?
Actions. You need good action, really good actions. So
effort?
Effort, and also, you also got to be good off the field to be a good captain. Well, you can't just be a dud all week and be late to training and be lazy and all of a sudden turn up and think people are going to respect your game day. So, make sure you got that, the ethic at training, and that's normally where you get the respect.
Do you have a captain that you...
You've got to have a good relationship with the coach too.
Yeah.
Because the captain's a link between the coach and the players, so that's important.
Is there one captain that really stood out playing under?
Paul Harrigan.
Well, I first started with Roy Simmons, and he was just the toughest bloke you could imagine. And then Greg Alexander took over in 1991. So outside that, I was pretty much captain not long after that. So Australia-wise, Mal Meninga was always a good captain as well.
You're the youngest captain for Australia ever?
At
95.
95 would have been 23.
You would be.
That's very young. Well done. Good captain.
Joey was leading us off the field.
No, not in those days. Well, sort of.
You were going all right.
21 straight out of Cessnock. I'm in London. What is this place?
We went to this place called The Church, and it opened Sunday lunchtime, and it went till 4 o'clock. Went for 4 hours. It was just this huge warehouse, and we went there after we won. And we're sort of like, we'd got to morning, we're going, what are we going to do? We're all still
It's like a day party, but
yeah, like a day club.
All it was Southern Hemisphere. South Africans, Australians, Kiwis. And it was debauchery.
That was good.
My mum and dad came home, there was a photo of me and Freddy in the paper somewhere over there. We're both on the ground, shirts off, and people are pouring champagnes over us, and people are drinking it off us.
They were doing full stage dives, and you come back, by the time you come back, you had no gear on.
No gear on.
They're just ripping your gear off.
Oh, that was great.
What did Mum and Dad say about the photo in the paper?
Oh, they couldn't have been prouder.
Oh, good stuff. I love the name of it too, just going, I'm gonna go to church.
Yeah. I went back there in 2007.
Yeah, what happened?
Ended up in handcuffs. Anyway, sweep that onto the carpet.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Origin. Of course, the teams, they went into camp this week. The squads were named, and we are counting down to Game 1 in a week's time.
Awesome.
Very exciting. What did you make of both team selections?
I think the New South Wales team's incredible.
Strong.
Really strong.
All the way to 17, 18. Like, it's a tested team, a lot of experience there. The combination in the halves is going to be interesting, I think, but has the potential to be, could just blow the game away, what they can bring to a game.
How do you think it will work, or what maybe is the benefit of having Mitchell and Nathan?
Well, I think Mitchell is a masterstroke because he brings Latrell and Angus Crichton into play with his long passing. Our left edge of this guy, Latrell and Angus, up against an experienced Robert Toia, who's only played 10 first-grade games, and also Cherry Evans together. So the job of Mitchell, on that, whether he plays left, is to get the ball early to those players, but also to bring his running game into play.
Well, Jerome used to do that a lot himself. There was games in 2021 where the combination on the left there was Tarek Sims, Jerome, Latrell and Brian. So Brian does all the work for Latrell. So Latrell doesn't have to get back and do a lot of that leg work coming out of trouble. But what Jerome did, which Mitchell Moses will do the same, is just go and ping it to him. Anytime there's a quick play of the ball, they'll just throw it to Latrell, and he just takes advantage. You just got to give him the ball and just let him go and follow him. So.
You spoke then about Brian Tutto doing Latrell's, a lot of that hard work coming out of trouble. When Max King, his name came up, I was very surprised. But the more I think of it is they've got the yin and the yang. They've got the explosive power of Spencer Leniu, and then you've got the hard work of King. And then also at the start, you got Payne Haas, devastating attack, and you got Mitch Barnett doing all the cleaning up. I think it's going to be a masterstroke.
And the other thing about this bloke is he scores tries.
Yeah, he does score.
Because the thing I liked about Paul Vaughan, early on I used to pick Paul Vaughan all the time, because he scores tries. While you're worrying about Latrell, all of a sudden if you can jump out and just, if your timing's right, you've got a front rower who's used to catching pressure passes and knows how to get over the line.
A big advantage for New South Wales is the bench. The jersey 14 position is so important, well, you know, as a coach. Connor Watson, I think he's in the Craig wing. Kirk Gidley mould as a 14, can play anywhere. And then you got Spencer, you got Max King, and you got Hudson Young. Queensland, on the other hand, they have Tom Dearden at 14. I don't think Tom would have ever defended in the middle as a dummy half. And then you got 3 debutants. Two. You got
Trent Liero,
both Fermor.
Yeah.
But Lindsay Collins is there. He's played 1 game in 6 weeks, 5 weeks.
He got caught out too on the weekend a couple of times.
Bailey Hayward got him with the in and away. So I think New South Wales' bench, I think there's a big advantage there. But the New South Wales team, on paper, looks very strong, but the best teams on paper don't always win, especially up there.
Yeah. We'll talk a little bit about some of those players who will be making their debut for Queensland. But still on New South Wales, what did you make of the couple of the players on media bans? So Spencer and Latrell Mitchell not speaking to the media throughout this whole camp. There's a lot of discussion. So there's 2 sort of views on this one. One view is the fact that they do get paid a fair bit of money. I think it's about, is it $30,000 per game that they play?
Which is underpaid considering how much it generates. Anyway, that's another story, yeah.
So then there's one train of thought that is, you know, well, part of that role is also the build-up, getting people interested, speaking to the media and, you know, bringing eyeballs to it. But then the other one is also, you know what, they've had their dramas, so maybe it is play it safe. New South Wales want to get the best from them. Where do you sort of stand on this one?
Well, I'm on the fence, I've got to say. I don't mind, actually, the amount of talk we do these days. I think having Latrell not talk at the moment, I think, has added intrigue to the game. And I think that's where a Wayne Bennett style of personality has really helped our game, because he actually doesn't talk. And you look at the other side of it, there's so much over-talking that it's become the real rarity. I feel like in State of Origin especially, though, you know, there's going to be moments, and if there is a big moment, that we're going to want to talk to Latrell or whoever it is, and they most likely need to aim up. The thing is also is that the players signed a deal with the game. So it's between the game really and the Players Association, that they sort this out. Like, I can accept that players go on media bans for a certain period of time, but you just can't not talk to the media forever.
And so
I've got no problem at all. I think it's their own decision, both the players, for whatever reason, whether they don't have a relationship with certain media outlets or that they feel like they've been unfairly treated. I see it as their decision not to talk, and we should respect that. I know in contracts and all this, but it's these 2 players' decision.
But what about if every player just come out now and said, we all want to go on a media ban?
That won't happen.
Well, if you're setting a really... There's a precedence that players are coming out. There needs to be something a bit more formal, I think.
Because then there's also, if you look a little bit closer into it, and this might not be something that the public reads into a lot, but there's also a difference in, say, media who write stories for the news cycle that, every 24 hours, but then there's also broadcast media. So that's actually speaking on game coverage as well. Foxtel Channel 9. So that's speaking in the lead up to games, walking off the field. And it is certainly a very different sort of topic of discussion. You're not getting into, all the nitty-gritty details. You're often just talking about what's happened on the field. What about if they say that they don't want to do that as well?
I couldn't care less.
Really?
Yep, I couldn't care less. It's their decision. If they don't want to talk, then I think we should respect that.
All right, Robert Toia, what about this? This is a great story for him. 10 games into his NRL career and playing State of Origin. He's 20 years of age. How do you think he'll go in the Origin arena?
I think what he's shown, though, is that the 2 years he hasn't played hasn't held him back. I think what we've missed is a pretty good footy player over the 2 years while he's been recovering from injuries. I think from the game against the Broncos, he was the shining light for the Roosters, and I think he's only gotten better each time. I think putting him up against Latrell Mitchell is mostly not it's not going to be good. I feel if we get a fair share of the ball, I feel like that's going to put a lot of pressure on the kid. But Latrell's going to have to also defend him as well. He's got pretty sharp footwork.
Big right
He's
foot.
A big bloke.
That side of the field has been a real target for New South Wales. Cherry Evans' defensive movements can be very inconsistent. He can get really tight to his back rower. He can push up in front of his back row. He can hang out. So Cherry Evans and Robert Toia and his back row, which will be Nene, I think. they have to be on the same page. They have to be working together because opposite them, they got Angus Crichton and Latrell Mitchell, who are, we saw in Melbourne last year in Game 2, they couldn't tackle either of them.
Yeah.
They just destroyed them. So I don't think it's more Robert Toia. I think it's more Daly Cherry Evans getting his movements and his communication, but how he defends.
Mate, if
differently.
Latrell gets good early ball, which he will,
Yeah.
as you're talking about Mitchell's pass earlier, he's going to have to one-on-one him at some stage, and that's,
Well, if he
that's
gets
a tough
one-on-one,
tackle.
it is Dushka, bang, which we saw. And if he comes hard, he goes left foot, Latrell, bang into Cherry Evans. Remember that scrimmage at training one day and Latrell got the ball one-on-one and went left foot and Nathan came to get him. He went bang.
Yeah.
Nathan did a somersault. They went, would you have got him? He
It's
went,
a big ask.
No. Well, yeah, you saw
a big ask.
Latrell got Payne Haas, 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago. Yeah. All right, well, this is getting me certainly
wait.
excited for the State of Origin. A week to go. Looking forward to it. And, of course, all the action live, exclusive and free right here on Nine's Wide World of Sports. But stick around because we are coat-hopping up next. Mark Bosnich joins us live in the studio. You won't want to miss this one. He's
Look at
pumped
this.
up.
You're proper Hollywood, you, eh?
Been doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and I find myself now talking to one of the Premier League's all-time greats. So I used to watch Alan Pace growing up. They used to talk to each other, going, Bosh, Bosh, Bosh.
I'm really into what you say, but can we eat?
I'm not being funny. What? Have you got any of this? I thought this was for me.
Next time, I won't just disarm you, I'll hurt you.
The balance is tipped now.
You've obviously had your tough times as well.
No, lot of tough times.
And I'm going to ask you questions as much as advice for me.
I'm just a normal man, normal dad. I'm like an air balloon version of Jason Statham. It's great food, by the way.
Fantastic.
Big John!
Big Boz. Bash!
Oh, that looks like a bit of fun that is coming to your screens on Stan. I'm pleased to say Mark Bosnich joins us here on the couch. Welcome.
Danica, how are you,
I'm
boys?
good.
How are you? Yeah, I was going to clap as well myself. Great to see you two as
deserve it,
usual.
mate.
you two go way back.
We do. We play for Mount Pritchard Club Cricket, and for Southern Districts representative cricket as well. We won a few titles there, buddy.
Who
was
was
a gun.
better?
Yeah? No, he was a gun too.
He was
Both
a
of us are
gun.
all around us. Both of us
So
are all
dur-
around us.
during that period, some like rugby league royalty, soccer royalty,
Yeah.
who else was around that gang?
Jason Taylor.
So, yeah,
Jason-
He was a year above us, or 2 years above us. Yeah.
there's
Who
about
else, really?
4 or 5.
There was about 4 or 5.
blokes that I went to
yeah.
school with all played first grade. But
Yeah.
Boz was a gun. Like in an area, it was very rugby league orientated, and Boz was the gun, as in a soccer player.
Were
It
you
was-
always goalkeeper?
No, I was outfield player until I realised that I wasn't good enough. So slowly I went back from being a striker all the way back. But rugby league as well. Like I used to play rugby league. That's why. But the cricket thing was the thing. He
Yeah.
was the best all rounder in the whole. That's why we won I think we won the state tournament. We got beaten
Yeah.
one final. But with Southern Districts, we won one state tournament
Yeah.
and we got beaten one final.
Why didn't you
Mount
play
Pritchard
footy?
we won.
Why didn't you play league?
Why didn't you play
Well,
footy?
I don't want to waste your time, but you really want to know the
Yeah,
story?
yeah.
As you used to always say when I was younger, and the late Mr. Matthews, bless his
Yeah,
soul,
yeah.
he used to say,
Les.
come and play, come and play, come and play. And I used to look at my dad. My dad would go, you got to go ask the boss, ask Mum. And Mum was like, and this is the only time I ever left home. So Mum was like, you're not playing rugby league, quite simply. So I said, OK. And then I thought, out of protest, I'm going to run away from home. And after about 2 hours, when I got really hungry, I came back. So that was why. So it was like, but as my mum turns around and says, now, it wasn't a bad choice, was it? So fair enough, fair play to her. So there you go.
What about your sort of, your development into soccer? When you played it when you were a junior, were you one of those players that sort of was highlighted early?
Little bit. I mean, look, I played goalkeeper. I
He
wasn't,
was the best.
I was, yeah. But I was all. This is why with the rugby league thing as well, Joe. Like, I was always better with the hands. You could say with cricket, rugby league, so forth. So I wasn't so good outfield. So I sort of went all the way back into goalkeeper. And then I was sort of like lucky because I was for my age, quite big. So I was lucky, and I played a couple of years up. We all did, didn't we, in the cricket too?
Yeah.
And that helped a lot as well. So then when you go back to your own age, you do shine. It's a good question.
I can remember watching an interview on you on Wide World of Sports with Craig Johnson.
Yes.
You must have only been 15, 16 at the time. I don't know, it always stands out. Where Craig Johnson, the great Liverpool player.
From Newcastle.
Yeah, from Newcastle.
From your neck of the woods.
And, yeah, I don't know, it just always stands out.
Yeah.
And followed your career
Because
since then.
when I saw him win the FA Cup, which made Liverpool win the double back in, I think it was 1986. So I would have been 14. That was it for me. So I was like, I want to play one day at Wembley, which you guys both have, and win a cup. Win a cup, which I was lucky to do twice. And also, obviously, lucky to win the title as well. But he was an inspiration to a whole generation, an absolute whole generation to see a young Australian go over to what was, it's always an argument which is the best league in the world, but it's definitely the toughest league in the world because you're playing over 10 months of the year in all conditions. And now with the influx from the 90s of players from all around the world and coaches are playing against the very best as well.
What was amazing though, in that area, Western Sydney, so Bozza was there, Mark Swarter, the same age,
Yep.
and Zelko as well.
Zelko
Spider.
Kalats, Paul
So you had
O'Connor.
3 of Australia's best goalkeepers,
Yep.
all in the same age group, all from the same area.
Yeah.
So I
And I
actually
think-
played Bozza in a game. He wouldn't remember this, but he was playing for Marconi and I was playing for Melita Eagles. And my best mate was a good soccer player, and the coach knew I played footy and said, all I need you to do is take the goalkeeper out. So they just sent it down the right edge, and I just basically come in to take Bozza out. We ended up having a draw that day, actually.
They did.
Yeah.
They used to have tactics.
It is such a, you look at, there's not a lot of Aussies who have grown up here who, have come through and gone over and achieved, the career path that you did to play in the Premier League, to play at some of the biggest clubs as well. When you were a kid, when you were playing soccer, did you ever think that that was a possibility?
Yeah, well, after I saw Craig Johnson win that FA Cup,
Then you
I
thought,
was like, I'm going to do that. And then I was very lucky, literally a year later. I think it shows more the power if you put your mind to something. A year later, I got a trial somehow at Liverpool when I was 15. Craig Johnson was actually there. There's the original Ronaldo. What a player he was.
How fast was he?
Oh, unbelievable. I'm not so sure about that jersey anyway. And then I was going to sign for Liverpool, and then Alex Ferguson, who was at Man United, heard about it. He'd just arrived at Man United. His big thing was to knock Liverpool off its perch. The late Eddie Thompson, who used to be coach of Australia, knew me. He went to school with Alex Ferguson. So he got on and said, listen, this was like March then. I went for a trial at Liverpool around September 1987, about March 1988. Then I went to Manchester United. And then he basically locked me in the room and rang mum and dad and said that he's signing. Simple as that. So that was it. So then 16, July 1988, 20 years. It was a great time, very good time.
Have you got a team? Who do you follow?
Look, I followed the whole 3 of them, but I got a real soft
league,
spot.
in rugby league.
Oh, rugby league, the Parramatta Eels.
Are you a
mate. 'Cause I was
Parramatta?
about to get onto you two as well. Then I said, well, I had a great time over there because when I was over there, like some things I think happen for a reason. We won every Ashes from '89 all the way, through to 2005. But that was a great series anyway. And nearly, every Kangaroo tour.
Yeah.
1990, that second test at Old Trafford. Wow.
We hooked
that
up
was
a
the
few
best ever.
times in Manchester.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we
We'll get
did.
onto those
With Mark
stories in a
Guy was there
second.
as well. At 1994, and of course the 1995 World Cup,
World
where you
Cup,
made
yeah.
like a real mark that time. And all those times, I used to think to myself, because the boys used to give me so much strick about being an Aussie, and I used to think to myself, surely they're not going to let me down, right? And they'd lose like the first test, like they did in 90 and 94.
Yeah.
Then they'd come back and win at Old Trafford, which was like my home ground when I first grew up. And they did in the World Cup as well. You lost at Wembley in that opening game, remember? And then come back and won the final after you scraped through and after extra time against the
Extra time,
Kiwis
yeah.
in the semi-final. So that were great times. This is one of the all-time great moments, this one.
Well, I want to know how it would unfold, say, when the Kangaroos would tour. Who would reach out to who first?
Well, this is funny. So 1990, and I think it was the late Bob Fulton who was the manager stroke head coach, right?
Yeah.
So in Manchester, so I knew they were over, so I went seeking him because I knew him, so I wanted to go say hello. And I love my rugby league and all that anyway. So saw him and Mark Guy, went over to them, and they were both in what they called the emus, they were playing midweek. So, and they were out quite regularly. I just see, not all of them, and not just them, but the whole team.
Just every day that ends in Y.
Well, yeah. We wouldn't say over, because even my boys were like the Manchester young boys were going. To be fair to them, they're not. Because I used to say to them, these guys are like unbelievable athletes. You don't know. They are like the best athletes you've ever seen, like big, mobile, strong. And my boys are going, yeah, they go like, they must be confident and all. I said, yeah, because anyway, they lost the first test. Remember at Wembley? I never saw them out again for the rest of the time they were there. I used to ring him up and he said, yeah, well, I don't think it's a good idea. So I thought Bozza, like, bless his soul, must have turned around and really cracked the whip with them, yeah? Yeah, but the Parramatta Eels,
Jay
Joe.
Beans, that was the...
Yeah, Parramatta Eels.
Well, you're growing
Sterlo, Brett Kenny.
You're a Parramatta Eel too,
Yeah.
weren't you?
Yeah. Everyone in that area. Like,
Yeah.
That was such a great team. Steve Ella, Brett Kenny. And
Steve Edge.
In those days, they'd all come out to your schools.
Yeah.
My earliest memory is Brett Kenny coming to the school. Then I met Steve Ella. I did a photo with Steve Ella. And so, you just glued on from then as he...
Yeah, all of Mick Cronin, Ray Price, and this
Favourite
goes
player?
on.
Favourite Parramatta player?
That one there on the left, Peter Sterling and Brett Kenny, but there were so many during that time, and that's what sort of really made so many of us in that area Parramatta fanatics, because it looked as though in the 70s they were like the perennial bridesmaids. They lost in 76 to Man, they lost in 77 after a replay to St George. And in 81 as well, for a long time in that game against Newtown were actually ahead. And I'm thinking, oh, God, and Tommy Rebonicas, you're thinking, Anyway, they came back and won, and, of course, they beat Manly 2 straight. Then the Bulldogs, but then they came back and won again under Don Mooney in 86. So that sort of really cemented, in my mind anyway, how good they were during that period.
So Brett Kenny scored 2 tries in 3 grand finals in a row.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
He did.
The one up the blind side where he dummied
it. And he got to remember this one as well. The one they lost to make it 4 straight, they lost, I think it was 4-2.
4-2.
Right. Yeah. He had 2 tries disallowed in that game as well. Yeah. Yeah, to the Bulldogs. That was Warren Ryan's...
the walk.
Yeah, there you go.
What about now? You're commentating for Stan Sport and fairly big matches coming up as well.
Yeah, well, and Channel 9 Gem's going to show it as well, Danica, as well. So that'd be huge. So we've got 3 European finals coming up.
Ange is in one of them?
Ange is in one of them tomorrow morning. The Europa League, that's the 2nd-tier competition. They're going to be playing against Manchester United. This time next week, next Thursday, is the 3rd tier, Chelsea versus Real Betis from Spain. And then the real big one, Paris versus Inter, on the Sunday morning as well. So
that's
very, very huge, absolutely huge. We're very, very fortunate because obviously the English teams have got such a huge following over here. And also very, very fortunate in terms of Paris versus Inter. Inter, with the Italian population over here, massive following. And Paris has just been a wonderful side. And there's a great story about Paris as well because Luis Enrique, who played for Barcelona, who played for Real Madrid, who has actually managed Barcelona to win this competition. He lost his daughter in 2019 to cancer. So it's a wonderful story, and she was with him the last time they won.
Yeah, right.
So it's a really wonderful story for him for this final. But Ange, who we just saw as well, he's had a difficult time this season. They've lost 21 games.
A lot of injuries.
A lot of injuries. And like I said, it's not an excuse, but as we know who have played for it, it's a fact. When you have, it's like if you play with 2 players less for being sent off, it makes a big difference, right? Well, sometimes it's the same when you haven't got your full starting 11 or starting 13. So he's had a lot of injuries. This could really turn it around because whoever wins this game will qualify for the Champions League next season. So fingers crossed for him. Look, deep down, Manchester United is my team because I went there first as a kid. I got a soft spot. But I won't be so disappointed this time as I normally am if Ange happens to win.
What happens if he doesn't win? Is he in trouble?
If he doesn't, he's in big trouble. So somebody told me 2 weeks ago as well, guys, that even if he wins, he's in trouble.
Right.
Now, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We know, and you know now because you've been on that other side of the fence, right?
It's him and fans, isn't it? Like,
yeah, it is. But you know, being on the other side of the fence as a manager stroke head coach, a lot of things go on behind the scenes you can't really disclose. You know, both sides can't really disclose. So somebody told me 2 weeks ago that he's gone either way. There's also a third thing, which we've seen before, the Socceroos, when things got a little bit prickly towards the end. He qualified us, and then he resigned himself. So don't rule out that option as well. But let's just hope for his sake, whatever happens, for his sake, that he wins the trophy.
Do you have a tip for some of these matches?
I'm going to go for Chelsea to beat Real Betis.
Yeah.
Chelsea to beat Real Betis. I'm going to go for Paris to beat Inter. And I'm going to go, unfortunately, sorry, Ange, but I'm going to go for Manchester United to beat Spurs. But like I said, I won't be too disappointed if Spurs happen to win. And that will be for Spurs' first trophy since 2008 as well, first major trophy. It'll be a wonderful achievement.
Yeah, looking forward to that one. PSG up against Inter Milan. That's going to be a huge match. And looking forward to your commentary as well. Great to chat to you.
Likewise. Looking forward to watching all you guys in the State of Origin as well.
Yeah.
We'll be following that as we always do. Yeah.
All right, well, stick around. Plenty more coming up on Freddy and the Eighth. Up next, we'll be talking all things club footy.
So put your hands on there first. That's left, buddy. Turn around.
I got the bomb one.
Yeah, right one there, mate. Put your right hand there. That's left, buddy.
Hey, don't kick it to me!
Yes!
Not like that. Not wrong way.
Wrong way, buddy. Bit different to the torpedo kick, because when you strike a torpedo, do you think they're listening? See, this ball does work. What a great Easter present it would be. I would love one of those when I was a kid.
What was that for?
It was a kickball to do torpedo bombs.
Should send one to Matt Burden.
Oh, yes.
But was it like a paid clinic or something?
No, I just got them to promote it for the footy show. I don't know if it was Thursday footy show or what.
Yeah, right.
But those kids, they just did not listen.
And your left hand, mate. Your left hand. Your left
Your other
hand.
left hand. Oh God, there are some great archives in the Channel 9 building at the moment. All right, let's talk all things club footy at the moment. We heard some news this morning. Michael Shamus broke the story on the Sydney Morning Herald about Lachlan Galvin. So the reports are that they are in negotiation at the moment for him to be able to talk to other clubs and sort out his future. But the Tigers have to agree to a couple of things.
To leave this year.
To leave this year, to start negotiations with another club, and then they'll work out a transfer fee and what the scenario is. But they're ultimately giving him permission to start speaking to other clubs.
For this year. So June 30 is the date you can't change after then. So you've got, what do you got, a month and a bit? Or are you talking about to play next year?
To play next. Well,
Right.
I think it's also a bit of a... they're in the midst of negotiations.
Surely the deal's been done somewhere. Anyway.
What do you think of Cherry?
As in?
We'll get back to...
Well, I was just going to
we'll
ask
talk
you.
about
Yeah,
it.
I was just going to ask you what clubs do you think would want his signature and be benefit from it?
If it was for this year, I think Newcastle would put their hand up. I don't know what's happened with their cap or whether they can do a swap with any players. I don't know what teams would have money in their cap. They'd have to move players.
Well, at this stage of the year, a lot of his money would be already paid, and he wouldn't be on that much money this year. So maybe you could go for a short-term deal because he's about to have two clubs come into the competition, one the Perth Bears and the other one the Papua New Guinea team.
Well, there's been a lot of talk about Kai Pearce-Paul going to Tigers.
Why would they let him go?
I don't know. Yeah, well, Newcastle's struggling for that stability in the halves. There'd be a swap. There'd have to be some sort of swap. They wouldn't just let him go unless there was...
I think that the way that the Tigers would benefit would be the transfer fee, because we've seen some transfer fees that have been big money. Like there was one maybe 2 years ago that was a $500,000 transfer fee.
Canterbury had one with the young halfback who ended up hurting his neck from the Broncos. I know that was a big transfer fee.
And that goes directly to the club, and then you've obviously, salaries on top of that. So
not a bad system, the transfer fee.
Yeah. Top of my head, it's just maybe the Titans have...
Mate, a lot of clubs could take him. He's 20 years old. He's a quality player. He plays he's confident, lives a good lifestyle. He's not hard work I've got to say what's happened this year hasn't sort of pointed towards that, but he's a good kid. I coached him in the Prime Minister's, lovely kid to have around. So there'd be plenty of clubs looking for him.
All right, Clubland at the moment, we've got a number of teams having buys this week throughout this Origin period. Do you see some teams benefiting during this time?
Yeah, the Warriors generally go on a run. They're the Mitch Barnett.
Mitch Barnett,
yep.
He'd be the only one.
And some of the lower clubs who haven't really got many players there.
Well, this year, you look at the top three. So Canterbury have got two, Canberra have got one, and the Warriors have one as well. That's it. They're your top three teams. So they're not going to be affected.
Do you think it is a fair system? The fact that
I don't know what the other... There's people calling for a month off. That won't work. They're calling for international tests. The best system is what they have now. They somehow got to sort out who gets more buys during this period. But then you have to think hypothetically when the draw's done, who's going to play in Origin. It's
a minefield.
impossible.
Yeah.
Just keep it the way it is.
Yeah.
Do your best. It's a complicated system putting a draw together.
And also, too, if you're a team that's got the best players who are obviously playing in Origin...
You get the benefit.
You get
of the experience of going away and playing under pressure and you come back.
And then you've got players who are learning underneath them as well.
Tops up your match fitness. When you come back from Origin, your match fitness is...
What was it like coming back whenever you'd have to play Origin and then a short turnaround to
No, just pride yourself on it. Pride yourself. Remember Gus used to say, your teammates get you here, you go back and repay them. I used to love it, actually. A bit different playing halfback to playing front row or something, but no, I used to real pride myself on 2 or 3 days later going back and playing for your club. I think everyone did.
We used to do it when I was coaching. That was the last message before you left. Go back. Respect your teammates.
Yeah. All right, well, we've got a brand new segment here on Freddy and the Eighth. Yes. And this is Maccas Moments. So it's celebrating the new Maccas New South Wales mill out now with these collectible cups that are on the...
Go the cat!
Here. And we're celebrating some of the best moments. Do you recall this one?
That was 05, wasn't it?
05, game
So
2.
they attacked our line for
First 8 minutes, I'm pretty sure it was.
I don't know what year that was. That might have been the same year. He was fast, Billy, wasn't he? I can't remember playing against Billy, actually, in Origin.
I played him in 04, he scored that try.
It must have been 05. That's game 2 in 05.
Game 2, 05.
Oh, this is game 2.
Yep. This is a good try. Oh,
So you hadn't
the
played...
try was a game where you kicked it long and Minnie scored next to the upright.
That was this one.
Oh, that was this game.
This, I'd been out for 10 weeks with a broken jaw. I think I'd played 5 games in 18 months because I did my knee early in 04, then came back and broke my jaw after 2 games, and then played 1 game before this one.
And you hadn't
This was
played
game 3. I
You
played Brisbane.
Game 1.
So Ricky didn't pick me for game 2. What happened? Trent Barrett, he got injured. There they are there. He got injured, so I came in on the Monday. And then, well, actually, I've got it here. We had that promo for Channel 9. They got it. There it is. That's the 05 Game 2 jersey.
You do the rest of the show in the jersey?
Still got the dirt.
Yeah, can I have a look? Where do you keep this at home?
It's the only one I have at home. The rest are in storage.
I don't know if you can zoom in on that, but look at that. Yeah, you've got a stain from the grass.
Yeah,
How good's that?
They didn't tackle you much that day.
Come on, no dinner suit. I've actually told the kids, I said, this is the family heirloom. This is not to be sold or anything. This is to stay in the family. I don't think I've got many jerseys. I used to swap plenty, giving a few away. This is pretty much the only one.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
Such a different material as well to the ones you see now.
Yeah.
I love watching players have to get the jerseys off nowadays. It's like a 3-man job.
You got to cut them off.
You did that when you first came in as coach.
Luke Phillips came in. They started to do it at Penrith, and we dead set. We nearly ironed them on. They were that tight. You'd have 2 or 3 blokes peeling them on and then trying to get them off afterwards.
Not good if you've got the mud guts.
No.
I've got to say, there's a clip of James Tedesco going through. There's about 5 or 6 blokes trying to get hold of him.
Couldn't grab him.
Couldn't grab him. You watch him now, his jersey's that tight. You watch how many blokes try to grab his jersey.
You'd want a flattering colour, that's for sure. All right, well, don't forget, you can head over to Maccas to get your special Maccas meal with these collectible cups as well.
For beer pong.
Yeah, there you go. Beer pong and your Diet Coke if you want it with your Happy Meal. All right, we'll stick around. Plenty more coming up straight after the break here on Freddy the Eighth. We're going to be looking at Freddy's tries and your F8 medal votes as well.
Radley, Savala, Tedesco. Cut out Toia. Went to Nwanga Nitawasi, who tiptoes down the wing and kicks ahead and regathers to score a miracle try.
Surely not. No way.
That's one of the best tries of all time.
Ever. Monster. High kick. Unbelievable. Xavier Coates reaches the sky. Comes down with it. He used his man as a step ladder.
It's meant for the MCG, this stuff. He's 2 metres in the air. Oh, drink that in.
What a round of tries we got treated to this weekend. That was incredible. So now this is what I've been looking forward to. I kept on thinking, where are they going to get placed in Freddy's try tally? And surely they're just 1 and 2.
Surely they have to be.
Mark Nwanga
Sounds like Naked Gun.
Which one are we doing first?
And don't
Well, let's do Marky Marks first.
Well, Marky Mark goes to the top. There's a shame this board isn't longer. It takes over Freddy.
Well, you're going to have to drop someone.
It's now called Get Marked. Get Marked. That was incredible. So the circumstances, he actually kicks the ball from outside the field and then he picks up the ball from outside the field.
He hops.
That last part where he pulls it back in from outside the field and plants it,
Watch him hop. So the foot doesn't go down. Hop, hop.
Outside the field.
That is just...
Gets back inside. And it goes over the corner post. If it hits the corner post, it's out of play.
Is it?
Yes. If the ball hits the corner post, it's out of play. That is as good as you get.
That's the freakish Fijian coming out in Marky Mark.
That was unbelievable.
So that definitely deserves...
I'm so happy I was there to see that.
I remember that forever because as he's doing it, I started running. I just got up out of my seat and started running. It was like the 2015 grand final when I just took off. And then as he's come back, I'm going, did you score it? He going, I scored it. And all of a sudden I'm cheering and the crowd just turned on me.
Oh, yes.
Freddy's a wanker. I'm going, what?
Well,
they might have been right. Anyway, the show is now called, or this segment is called Get Marked.
All right, now this one, the flyer. This was an AFL mark.
It is incredible. He does this so easy.
doesn't he?
I've got to say, the KO one to win the game, I think, sits a little bit. I loved match-winning tries, and he goes just below that to the moon. But he is taking...
So podium finish for both of them.
Well, what he's doing, he's taking this position to a new level. He's saying, well, you know what, wingers, you need to be able to do this. Poor old Daniel Atkinson. And what happens is no one puts wingers on as bench players. So they lost two outside backs. They lost Stone Street and Jesse Ramian. So Daniel Atkinson, who's a 5'8", who's short. And you couldn't have got a better kick. Munster kicked it. You could see Daniel Atkinson trying to move and get into a position and just realise, you know what, I'm gone. And it just dropped straight on his head and he went up over the top. He never misses, though.
Because they train, they have someone who comes in with an AFL background and helps them train for that AFL style mark. But yeah,
well, you know what's good about Origin is Zach Lomax will be against Xavier Coates.
Oh yes,
they'll be on each other.
Remember Lomax's try in Melbourne last year?
Oh, that was
good.
But Coates wasn't playing. Did he go over Coates? No, I think Coates was injured last year.
Well, he went up. He went up and nailed it. All right, let's dive into Sportsbet having a crack this week. We love it when Aussies are out there having a crack, so we're going to pay tribute to the player who did it this week, and none other than in the women's State of Origin game. We love seeing this, wrapping up the series as well.
That footwork. Her footwork was just the balance.
But it's it's actually the black eye that we're celebrating. Did you see that? No. So she actually got punched in the face while they were celebrating the try.
She's a character, isn't
she? Yeah.
She's MAD.
Yeah. So she was, that was a few days later, so that was on Sunday that she was talking about
She's like Spencer. She's got so much... Oh, yes.
And then, of course, Freddy riling up all the Doggies fans. Your game, Freddy. That's a packed-out stadium.
I was just adding to that. You know what? It was a great night.
Yeah.
The footy was awesome, and playing around with the crowd was pretty cool. I hope they were playing around.
I love it how passionate the Bulldogs fans are. The amount that they're turning out to games as well, and the streets of Belmore and everything. It's actually so great to see.
Well, that was pouring rain, and there was over 30,000. So you got to say, if it was good conditions, there would have been another 5,000 or 10,000 there. So they're doing great. They're doing great work at the Bulldogs.
Yeah, good on them. All right, stick around, plenty more coming up, but let's check in with Joel Kane from Sportsbet.
Jersey bingo, popular with the punters, so it's a tricky round with 5. So we've added in State of Origin to find the bet type. NRL Weekly Hub is the way to do that. We must mark off numbers 1 through to 13. All of those, if one scores, check them off. There is your bingo. Jersey bingo, looking forward to this round.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
Countdown to State of Origin. It is now just 1 week away, and of course the only place you can catch it all live and free right here on Nine's Wide World of Sports. All the coverage starting next Wednesday from 7 p.m. We cannot wait for this one.
That jersey was ripped when he had an altercation with Tino.
Big Tino.
Tino's a big in for Queensland.
I do hope it gets a little fiery on Wednesday night. That's what
I think
I'm
it will.
For. All right, let's talk about some of the games and matches this weekend. Thursday night footy, Dogs and Dolphins live from Accor Stadium in Sydney. Who are we tipping for this one?
I'm tipping Dolphins. It's going to be wet this afternoon. It's going to wet tonight, Wednesday night in Sydney, and Thursday it's going to pour all day. I think the kicking game of Izzy Toia, but also the dummy half running, in particular Herbie Farnworth. I think the Dolphins can upset the Dogs.
Josh Curran, he comes back for the Bulldogs, so they get another middle bloke. They lose Max King. But they don't lose their hooker, their halfback, their 5'8", their fullback. They've also still got Burden. They've still got Kickow as well. So I think they've still got enough of those players who really drive what they're doing at the moment. I just think they'll be just too professional for the Dolphins.
So you're tipping doggies. Friday night footy, Eels v Seagulls at Combank Stadium.
This will be good. This will be a really good game. Turbo's going to be captain, so it'd be great to see his reaction to not being in Start of Origin. No Jake. Obviously, they're missing. Olakau'atu will play as well, so
Jake Arthur,
he'll have something to
halfback.
prove. Jake Arthur, halfback, up against he started Parramatta.
I like Parramatta in this one. I really like Parramatta. I think they can win.
They were good, weren't they, Newcastle?
Oh.
I've got to say, though, Moses and Zach Lomax, they have
big
so
outs.
much punch to that team. They were so good last week.
Dean Hawkins' kicking game hits those darts down the right side.
He kicks different to everyone else, doesn't he?
Funny drop.
He flicks it onto his foot,
But
a bit like an AFL player.
He hits him sweet. I think they can win, Parramatta.
Para? Okay. All right. Sunday afternoon footy. Warriors and Raiders. That one's from Go Media Stadium in Auckland. Yeah. The Wars.
Up the Wars.
Up the Wars.
They keep going.
Yeah.
They've won so many games too by 4 and 6 points. I've got no doubt Fisher Harris, the impact he's having there that's what makes you win those games, just that tough attitude.
I wonder how many times where a team gets thumped by an opposition and the second time they play them, they win. Like this was in Vegas. They were legless.
Right.
Absolutely legless.
I
the
did a
Warriors.
stat the other day. So there was 5 games and the only team that won both of them was Canterbury beat the Titans twice.
Okay.
All the other teams have swapped over. Roosters and Brisbane, Penrith and Roosters. I forget who the others were, but there were 5. So this will be the 6th one, I'm assuming.
I like the Warriors.
Warriors?
Really like the Warriors.
Yeah, I like the Warriors. But Canberra, they were fantastic last week.
Yeah.
So what a shame Fisher Harris isn't playing him up against. I love watching Joseph Tarpany. I think he's a good player. I like him competing with the other front rowers. He's got something a little bit different.
He takes it personal too, doesn't he?
He's got that real good footwork. I love him down near the other try line. They always give him early ball. He just goes and he steps like a 5'8". He's unreal. His footwork's brilliant. So that'll be a great game, but I'm going to go the Warriors too.
Okay. All right. We're looking forward to all those matches on your Nines Wide World of Sports across the weekend. Stick around though. We're going to wrap things up on the other side of this. Well, Freddy and the Eighth, we've got a big show coming for you next week because we're taking it on the road. We're going to be live. Yeah, we're going to be live from Suncorp Stadium.
On
Joey's
Wednesday?
On Tuesday.
I thought we were doing it at the Caxton Street.
Oh, well, we can
Can we
change
do it at the pub?
No, we're doing it on the rooftop somewhere. I'm
That'll
sure
be
we are.
nice.
Are we? I was told Suncorp Stadium, so
okay.
maybe let's change it and we can do it from the Caxton.
That'd be better. It'd be more fun.
Yeah. Would you be allowed into the Caxton?
Oh, I don't know.
Have you got one in you?
What? A beer?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about something else. Yeah, of course. Always.
Before we wrap it up, Freddie, do you have a good story about Bozza? He was a great guest.
I don't have a story, but I've got to say, like where I grew up, I knew him in an area that was sort of, really dominant in rugby league and all that, but he was a standout. He's a really good athlete. From a point of view of, I remember playing cricket with him and against him, but he was always a character. He's always loud, and I think he's lived an incredible life. A kid who grew up from Liverpool, lived a pretty incredible life. So he's a really good fella, Bozza. I love his company.
Yeah, he brings so much energy as well. I can imagine just...
He'd have some good stories if you could unwind him.
Well, back in the day when he was partying a lot, you wouldn't get a word in. Could you imagine?
All right, well, thank you for joining us here on Freddy and the Eighth again. We will catch you next week. We're looking forward to State of Origin. Enjoy the footy over the weekend. And once again, a big happy birthday to the Eighth Immortal, Andrew Johns.
Come on, New South Wales, give me a present.
Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next week.
This has been another presentation from Nine's Wide World of Sports.